Welcome to this 5-part video series about how to structure and buy real estate using creative financing strategies. By learning these different strategies, you'll have additional ways to profit on real estate deals, making you a better and smarter investor. On this video, I'm going to kick off this 5-video series by really laying the groundwork to what creative financing is, why it's an effective way to do deals, and how to use it to profit from deals that most people pass on. I'll also show you my 2-step process for discovering when a seller will accept creative financing. All of that and more coming up. Hi there, it's Jerry Norton, the nation's leading expert on flipping houses, and if you're new here to make more money and less time flipping real estate so you can live your dream life, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. Now, as I like to do on all of my videos, is first give the big picture so that what I'm teaching has the proper context, and then get down into the nitty-gritty and give you the very specific details as to how it works. So in the world of real estate, there are 2 ends of the spectrum when it comes to paying the seller to buy the property. On one end, we have traditional bank financing. Now, this is the most challenging to get because banks have many requirements to qualify for financing, such as good credit, your credit history, your job history, down payment, other debts, etc. The upside to getting bank financing, perhaps the only upside, is that you get a lower interest rate. So if you're going to buy an investment property using bank financing, then when you make the offer to a motivated seller, you have a financing contingency. Now that means in the event you don't qualify for the bank financing for whatever reason, you can back out of the contract without any repercussions. Well, as you can imagine, this could be a big concern for a motivated seller who desperately wants to sell their property quickly. Now, the other end of the spectrum when it comes to paying the seller to buy a property is to pay all cash. Now, technically, that means you have the funds readily available or liquid, and that you can pay the seller in full without having a financing contingency. This reassures the seller that you'll be able to fund the purchase quickly and without any issues because all cash means you don't have a financing contingency. Well, here's the thing, as all real estate investors know or should know, making an all cash offer to a seller doesn't necessarily mean it has to be your cash. The cash can come from somewhere else, such as from a hard money lender or a private money lender. Now, these are money lenders who specialize in lending cash to investors to buy properties. And their requirements are much less than a traditional bank because they focus more on the deal than on the individual. Basically, if it's a good deal, they'll give you the money to buy it. But here's the caveat. Cash is very expensive to borrow. Where bank financing might be 4 to 5% interest, private and hard money might be 10 to 12% interest or more. And that's okay. All that means is when buying an investment property using non-traditional financing, such as hard money, you have to factor into the deal the cost of money, which means you need a really good deal, which means you have to buy the property at a much lower price to factor in the more expensive cost of money. When it comes to making offers to sellers, a cash offer will usually get you the best price. And for some motivated sellers, a cash offer is all they will entertain. They want their money now and they want rid of the property ASAP. A bank financing offer isn't as strong because, like I explained, there's less certainty to the seller, so usually you can't get as good of a deal. So for example, let's say a seller gets 2 offers, one for $100,000 cash and another for $100,000 with a bank financing contingency. Which offer is stronger? Well, obviously the cash offer, but what about this? A cash offer for $90,000 versus a bank financing offer for $100,000, which is better? The answer is it depends on the motivation of the seller, but I'll tell you right now, many motivated sellers will take the cash offer over the financing offer even though it's $10,000 less, especially if the cash offer can close in, let's say, 2 weeks, where the financing offer might take 30 to 45 days. But here's the thing, whether your offer is cash or bank financing, the seller is going to get paid off in full at the time of closing. But what if there is a situation where the seller doesn't need all of the money up front? Could there be a situation where the seller would be willing to sell you the property for a higher amount in exchange for waiting to get paid some or all of the agreed upon sale price until later? And if so, why would they do that? Now, this is where real estate gets exciting because now we're entering the world of creative financing. Creative financing is using alternative ways to acquire and in some cases control real estate without paying some or all of the cash or getting bank financing. And as a real estate investor, the better you understand and recognize the ideal situation and the right type of creative financing to use, the more deals you'll do and the more money you'll make. Let me say that again because it's so important. The better you are at structuring creative financing, the more money you'll make as a real estate investor. What's important to realize is using creative financing, you don't have to factor in the expensive cost of cash, so therefore you can pay the seller more, which will allow you to do more deals. Deals that other cash buyers who don't know how to structure creative financing will pass on. The basic rule of thumb is this: with cash offers, you have to pay less to get a good deal, and with creative financing or terms, you can pay more and still get a good deal. Cash is pay less, terms is pay more. In the following videos in this creative financing series, I'm going to do a deep dive into the different types of creative financing that you can use and how to recognize the ideal situation for each method and how to properly structure deals using each method. So be sure to stay tuned to those videos. I'll put the links to the other videos in this series in the description box below as they get released. You can watch those later. But for now, let me show you my two-step process for how to discover if and when a seller will consider creative financing as an option. Once you've identified a lead that you want to pursue, step one is to run the house flipping buy formula, which factors in the cost of capital for buying the property with cash. Now, if you're not a flipper, use whatever formula that you use to buy a property outright with cash. And then make an all-cash offer to the seller. By doing this, you're establishing with the seller the lowest price option, which gives the seller the fastest and most convenient exit from the property. Remember, all cash and closing quickly gets the property permanently out of the seller's life, which is worth it for some sellers. Now, step two, if the seller counters at a higher price, or even if he or she rejects your all-cash offer, counter back to the seller, but this time offer to pay more if the seller will accept a creative financing solution. Now, in the other videos in this series, I'll go into how much more you should offer with the different creative financing methods, but for now, I want you to understand the process. Go in all cash, and if the seller doesn't accept, counter at a higher offer price using creative financing. By doing this, what you're communicating to the seller is, hey, if you want to be rid of this property as fast as possible and you want your money now, here's my cash offer price. But if you want me to still take over the property and take it off your hands so you don't have to deal with it anymore, but if you're willing to wait to get paid and are willing to be flexible, then I can pay you more for it. It really comes down to this: less money now or more money later, which is more important. Now, before I forget, today's video is brought to you by Flipster, the #1 house flipping deal management platform on the market. If you've never heard of Flipster, not only does it organize, streamline, and automate all of the steps to flipping houses, but it actually finds and funds deals for you. It's really cool, so whether you're working on your first deal or you're doing deals every month, Flipster can help you get to the next level. To learn more and see it in action, just go to getflipster.com or click the link in the description. Now, if you learned something on today's video, show some love, hit that like button right now and leave a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway from this video. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm dedicated to helping you make more money in less time flipping houses so you can live your dream life. And finally, this was video 1 in a 5-video series about using creative financing to make more money in real estate. Be sure to watch the next video in this series where I show how to buy real estate using seller financing, where the seller actually finances you to buy the property. So watch that video now, and remember, it's not about the money, it's about having the time and freedom to have, be, do, and give everything you want in life. That's what it's all about, and I'll see you on the next video.